Hi, this is Greg McCoach, editor of the Mining Speculator. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada at the Metals Investor Forum, May 11th. Welcome, everybody. We have today Craig Parry of Inventa Capital, chairman, and also we're going to be talking about Vizsla Copper. And Craig, welcome to the interview, right? Welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you. Good to be with you again, Greg.
Yeah, we were talking about Down Under and Melbourne. You've been in both countries, very similar kind of climates.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Yep. Market's a bit better down there.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, we want to talk a little bit. What's going on with Inventa? Let's start off with Inventa Capital because that's a big story.
Yeah, well, of course, Inventa, we're something of a merchant bank and project generator. Our flagship company nowadays is Vizsla Silver, which is we've got the giant Panuco Silver District down in Mexico. We're fast moving that into PEA stage. Look out for the PEA on that project, sometime this summer. The numbers, I think, are going to look spectacular. Of course, we've grown a resource base there of 325 million ounces of silver at very, very high grades.
Right.
One of the world's best silver discoveries in the past 30 years, I think.
Absolutely.
So we're looking to bring that into production as quickly as we can. We've got a number of other companies there. My passion project is Vizsla Copper. I'm, a super bull when it comes to copper. I think we're going to see $20 or $30 a pound copper in the not too distant future. So we're busy putting our foot on as much copper as we can, but we've got a lithium business, tin business, a gold company there in Nevada, among others. But really the focus for us at the moment are the two Vizslas, Vizsla Silver and Vizsla Copper.
Yeah, well, I've been with Vizsla Silver since the beginning there with my newsletter. We got people in there, I think was around the 40-cent level.
Well done.
We made money on the way up and then we came back down and I re-recommended it again. And Michael's done a great job there.
Oh, fabulous job. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, that's my biggest personal position, I think.
And I've told all my people, look, this is the real deal here. That when you see them cross that 100 million threshold, that's a...
Well, that's right. Well, the good thing there is we've brought on one of my best mates, Simon Smirlek, who's now our Chief Operating Officer. He was the COO of Ausenco Engineering.
Oh, yeah.
Simon's built over 50 mines around the world in the past 20 years. So we've got, no one better to build the next great silver mine.
Right. No, you got the right people at the right time when I think silver's about ready to spike too. Yep. So it's going to be an exciting time. So let's now talk about Vizsla Copper because that is another great story. And you and I are both bullish on copper gold projects, especially in northern BC. Obviously, Vizsla Copper has the goods there too.
We do. Look, we've done two major acquisitions. We've done, I think, over 10 smaller acquisitions of properties across the province. I'm very bullish on British Columbia and copper in British Columbia particularly. Well. Yeah, I think that BC has an opportunity to become the next Chile over the next 20 years. Yeah. Huge amounts of porphyry mineralisation in the province. Pretty good grade when it comes to the global average mine grade. The global average mine grade is now about 0.6% copper. There's a lot of metal up in those hills north of us here at that sort of 0.5, 0.6 level. Yeah. We've got a lot of it ourselves. We've, as I say, the two major acquisitions. We acquired the consolidated Woodjam company that gave us the Woodjam property right next to Mount Polly mine. And then 2 weeks ago, we closed our acquisition of Universal Copper, which I think will be seen as one of the most extraordinary bargains of this down cycle that we're just about to come out of. We bought 2 billion pounds of copper and 750,000 ounces of gold for the princely sum of 2.5 million in stock.
Great deal.
So that's and that looks to me like a fabulous project. We're just dusting that off and looking at potential studies there and how we might make that an economic project even at these prices. And then apart from that, we're out there looking for, we really want to be the spearhead of acquiring and consolidating and BC copper projects and building a pipeline. Right. I've given myself the stretch target of building the next mid-tier copper producer in the shortest time frame. Yeah. I think markets are about to allow us to execute on that strategy, Greg.
For sure. Where we're $4 and change copper now. I just said in my talk this morning, I see at least $10 and probably much higher. And you're saying 20, 30. I agree.
Yeah. Well, last time around, the same sort of change in supply-demand fundamentals was enough to drive the copper price from 70 cents all the way to $4.60,
Right.
$4.70. Well, we're now back at that sort of all-time high level of $4.64 today, I
Right.
think. This time round, the absolute amount of copper we're going to need per annum is significantly higher at sort of 7, 8, 9
Yeah.
million tonnes per annum. But the supply side's so much more
Right.
constrained. We haven't done studies, development work, permitting. So I just simply can't see where we're going to come.
Right. And
How we're going to meet that.
what about warehouse stocks in copper? Is that
Great question. Look, they're very low at the moment. You've seen something phenomenal happen late last year where TCs and RCs, the cost that smelters charge metal producers to refine their product, dropped to all-time lows. Next to nothing. Those smelters are so hungry for product, for concentrate. That suggests that the market is considerably tighter and those stockpiles are smaller than we could have ever imagined. We went into the back end of last year thinking, okay, well, we're going to see a modest surplus of copper production this year. It hasn't played out that way. Cobre Panama, of course, the closure of that mine took 400,000 tonnes of product out of the market. But it was much tighter than we thought. And so hence you've seen that run up from $3.30 to $4.64 today. I think even Goldman Sachs, the snoozers at Goldman Sachs are saying we'll see $5.50 copper by the year end. I think we'll see much higher prices. But as I say, given the supply-demand fundamentals, I think, honestly, we're going to see $20, $30 per pound.
The shortfalls are too obvious. It just, you can see
exactly,
it. You can see it, yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about Vizsla Copper. What's the share structure?
Yep.
And
we've got, you absolutely. So since the acquisition of Universal Copper, we've now got 181 million shares out, about 10 cents a share. So we're very, very cheap for that much metal, 4 billion pounds of copper and nearly 2 million ounces of gold. You can buy that for $19 million. So that's an extraordinary bargain. And then, well supported by us and friends. I think I've put well over $1 million into the company so far and keep supporting every financing we do.
Right.
We've got a good backing of high net worth supporters and my business partners. We always write big checks for our own deals. So we're well funded. Within that resource base, we've got some very high grade zones. So we want to understand those more. So we'll be drilling in and around those come late June, July. We've got some high impact targets. There's a property we acquired called Redgold, which is 10 kilometres south of the Mount Polly pit and a long strike from the mineralisation. It's had a couple of drill holes, including some, 2-3% type copper numbers coming out of the historic drill holes, but in essence, it's had no exploration. When you get on the ground up there, you see, evidence of porphyry style mineralisation, tourmaline, copper-rich breccias and things like this everywhere across the property. So we're keen to get out this summer and test some of those high impact targets. And in the meantime, we'll work out what to do with Poplar, which, came out of the Universal acquisition. Fabulous looking project. The mineralisation, the outcrops, there's a big resource base there already. And I suspect that today's copper prices, there will be a mine within that without doing any further work, any further exploration. But again, the property has a huge amount of exploration upside as well. And then in the meantime, we continue on this acquisition path and looking to build out the pipeline of projects. Ideally, we'd like to have a project that's ready to be developed over the next 3 to 5 years, and then a series of projects behind that too.
It sounds exciting. I mean, acquiring assets at super cheap prices in a contrarian mode. I think your model is wonderful. You're going to benefit tremendously, as I would tell individual investors. Be the contrarian. Look at these copper gold situations. That's what I said in my talk this morning. Copper, gold, copper, Canada, BC in particular.
Yep.
I think that's the place, the hottest place to be within this sector.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. Not to get political, but, I think we'll see some changes in government perhaps here, but certainly federally. And, Pierre Poilievre's talking about streamlining and improving mining permitting. He sees what you need to do.
Yeah.
Canada has a huge opportunity and we're missing it at the moment to a large extent. That needs to change and I think it will shortly. And then for Vizsla Copper, the key takeaway is really we're very, very cheap.
Wow.
It's a great way to get exposure to a massive amount of copper cheaply. just before the price takes off. So it's an ideal time to get on board. I've been buying stock myself, and I put 350,000 into the last financing.
Yeah.
We'll continue to do the same. I want as much copper metal as I can on my balance sheet.
Well said. I'm in agreement. Thanks for the interview.
Good on you, mate. Cheers.